Pioneer DJ has just announced the update we've all been waiting for, introducing the brand new XDJ-RX3. Hi guys, welcome back to Crossfader. My name's Holland, and today we're taking a closer look at the brand new XDJ-RX3 by Pioneer DJ. The RX3 now features a brand new 10.1 inch touchscreen with a brand new CDJ-3000 style interface. There's brand new Jogwheels with inbuilt displays in them. New performance pads complete with new performance pad modes, which include gate cue and release effects. And then finally, the mixer section has been updated with more beat effects and 2 new sound color effects taken straight from the XDJ-RX3. And unlike the RX2, the RX3 will actually support Serato DJ Pro, unlocking the software for DJs to use with this unit. Now that support is coming early next year, however this unit will also unlock rekordbox 6 performance mode, and that'll be available straight away. But they're the key features. There's a lot more to dive into, so let's first take a closer look at this amazing touchscreen. So here it is, the 10.1 inch touchscreen fitted to the RX3. Now this screen is very, very big. It still uses the resistive touchscreen technology, so unfortunately it doesn't have capacitive touchscreen, so it uses the pressure of your finger on the screen to register where you're touching. This is the same as other previous Pioneer DJ touchscreens, but it does mean that it won't feel like a phone or an iPad. You can't go swiping or using multi-touch gestures on this screen. That said though, there is the advantage that you can use this with slightly damp hands and it won't start getting confused to where your finger is. Now this touchscreen has been broken down and utilized very, very well by Pioneer DJ. And the first thing to note is when you're finding and browsing through your songs, you're greeted with the same interface as found on the CDJ-3000 models. Now this is great, it's big, it's chunky, it allows you to navigate through your USB sticks very, very easily with these big buttons here, and you can just browse to your heart's content using the touchscreen itself. Of course, we do have the rotary encoder over here should we want to use that, and we also have dedicated hardware keys up at the top to jump to certain sections. Now if you head to the playlist section, up here using the dedicated hardware key, there's a brand new feature within the RX3 called playlist banks. This allows us to save 4 playlists into these available 4 banks at the side here and quickly navigate between them. So if you've got USB sticks with lots and lots of playlists on them, you can actually go in to your playlists, find a playlist you want, say this, and save it to a bank. You can then load up some more playlists, add them to the bank again, just like so. And then what will happen is, rather than having to navigate through all your folders and all your playlists, I can now quickly jump between these playlists just by using these 4 shortcuts on the sides. We can also delete them out as well by pressing this delete button down at the bottom, say for example that bottom one that didn't have any tracks in. This is a really handy feature, however I do think it could have been implemented slightly better. The banks, for example, they just say bank 1, bank 2, bank 3. They could have had the name of the playlist maybe show underneath there, which would have made it easier to remember which one is which. Also, you'll notice that these playlists have all shown up green because they're coming off my green USB stick 1. But if I go to USB stick 2 here, and head to the playlist section, we get an additional 4 banks for that USB stick. There's no way at the moment to currently swap between them and just have one bank use 2 USB sticks, which I think would have been much more useful. I could have had a green playlist here, a red playlist here, and just dive between the 2 USB sticks. So that is a bit of a shame. That said, when you are navigating through your playlists, as you can see here, you are able to see a lot more information on the screen itself, and that's because we now have more real estate. We can actually see 12 songs over the previous 8 on the last RX DJ player. On top of that, we can actually use the waveforms on the side of this browse screen to preview the tracks. All we need to do is have this brand new Q button on the headphones illuminated, turn your headphones up, and when you press on the waveform itself, you can browse through that track, listening to it in your headphones. This is great, allows you to nail down which track this is. Say, is this the remix that I want? make sure it is, before I have to load it into the deck. Loading it into the deck is very simple. As you can see here, we have the load buttons on screen, or we have the dedicated buttons down here as well. We can also open up the info tab where we get a lot more information about each track, which is great to see. Once you have your tracks loaded into the deck, as you can see, you're greeted with the brand new free band EQ waveforms. Now these can be changed back to the traditional blue or the RGB settings, but these were first seen in the CDJ-3000 and it's nice to see them here on the RX3. The screen is broken down into some very clear sections. At the top we have the top waveform, of course. This also shows the source of the track, the key it's in, and how many bars have progressed through the track. And then we have the same information for the waveform for the second deck just underneath there. And then at the bottom we obviously have the overview. Here we can see the time remaining or elapsed. We've got the BPM, our pitch range, and we've also got the overview waveform at the bottom here. The nice thing about the overview waveform at the bottom as well is that if you have analyzed your songs with the phrase feature in rekordbox, you can now display this on screen as well. You can of course use this as a needle search as well, so you can skim through your tracks just here using the screen itself. It's all very slick and very easy to use. So just above the overview section we have a brand new area of the screen, and this is divided into two sections. We've got status and beat effects. So as you can see at the moment, it's in status mode, and what it is displaying on screen is the mode that the pads are in, and also the divisions or the actions that the performance pads themselves will take. So as you can see, we're both in hot cue mode at the moment, and if I was to place a hot cue, you can see that hot cue appear on screen. You can also delete them off and it will remove it from the screen. And this works across all of the performance pad modes. So if I head into like a beat jump, for example, you can see the divisions of the beat jump there. The same with the loops or the release effects. It just names it all on screen. On top of that, we have the ability to slide over into beat effects mode. Now this is one of my favorite features of the brand new RX3 unit. What beat effects allows us to do is to navigate through using the hardware controls on here to our favorite effects. So let's say one of my favorite effects is a 1 beat echo. And then what I can do is I can press on one of the 4 spare banks here on screen and save that echo there. And then let's grab some more effects that I like using. So let's say, for example, let's go to a flanger, and then let's have that at 8 beats. We'll save that in. Let's get a delay. Let's do that at half a beat. Save that in. And let's have a reverb. And we'll save that in as well. Now, whilst I'm DJing, without having to worry about anything other than the select function here, which deck I'm selecting for the effect to be applied to, I can actually flick through the effects and jump straight to my favorite beat division of that effect just by pressing the button on screen. So for example, if I get a track playing, I can simply press on the echo, for example, turn the effect on, and it's as simple as that. But let's say I want to flick between the two. So I'll get the echo going again. Let's have the delay. So this functionality allows us to quickly not worry about, having to wind back to our favorite effects and then dial in the beat division. It will just work instantly flicking between here. It's a real time saver and something I love. Now on the right hand side, you may have noticed that we actually have an on-screen X-Pad. Now the X-Pad works the same as X-Pads do on the DJM 900s. It's a touchscreen interface which will apply the effect as soon as you touch on the screen. So if you notice here, if I touch on screen, the effect turns on, but I can also drag my finger across to change the beat division. So that is the status section and the beat effect section on the decks itself. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I really do. Now, the screen can do a little bit more. Up at the top left-hand corner, we have a timer. This is a countdown timer. So say, for example, you're wanting to hit a certain song by a certain point, or maybe you've got, I don't know, midnight coming up on New Year's Eve. You can type in a countdown timer. How useful this is for people, I'm not quite sure. I think we've all got phones on us these days and we can all use the countdown functionality in our phones. But it's great to have a backup. The other thing I will say about this system is that, you know, if I dial in, say, for example, 1 minute, you'll see that we have the countdown in the top right-hand corner, which is fine. But nothing really happens when the countdown reaches 0. There's not a big alert on screen. There's no, you know, way of knowing. Your decks don't start flashing to warn you that you're coming to the end of your countdown. There's nothing really to alert you. And when it's such a small thing in the top left-hand corner, I've got to question the functionality of that. It's a nice idea, but I think the execution's been let down. It really needs to let you know that you're coming down to that time a bit more. On top of that, an inbuilt clock would have been ideal. You know, being able to set it to midnight. Not everyone's going to be able to figure out to the second when midnight is going to come. So it's a nice idea, but I don't think it's something that's going to set the world alight. Moving on to the brand new Jogwheels on the RX3. Now, these are the same size as the previous generation RX models, meaning that they're not full-size CDJ Jogwheels. They're also not mechanical, so they don't feel like the DDJ-1000 or any of the CDJ models or the XDJ-RX3. These remain controller-style Jogwheels, which are capacitive and rely on the electricity in your body touching the top surface to know when you're touching the top of the deck. You don't have to push them down. Now, these Jogwheels do feel buttery smooth, I've got to hand it to them, and they've also got the inbuilt screen. Now, these Jogwheels, for all intents and purposes, are the exact same as those found in the DDJ-800. We do have jog adjust on the XDJ-RX3, which is nice to see, so we can crank this up heavy and have quite a firm Jogwheel, or we can go all the way to light and have quite a long spin on there. The screens themselves will display key information like the vinyl mode, if you've got beat sync on, and also if you've got slip on as well. There is a needle and a cue position icon in there as well. But that's about all they display. Unfortunately, unlike the DDJ-1000, you can't display waveforms in there. There's no BPM information in there. The only thing really that will show is if you have a loop, it will show you the loop value in the screen. Now, you can change out the Pioneer DJ and the rekordbox logo for a custom image of your choice. So all you need to do is head into the settings, make sure you've got the setting set to image on jog display to custom image like that. And then when you load in a track, it will show an image that's been saved to either of your root directories on your USB stick. This has to be 800 pixels by 800 pixels, I believe, and saved as a JPEG. But when you do that and you load a track in, as you can see, you get the custom artwork. And this does show between each USB stick. So if I load a track off this other USB stick, you will see that we actually have a different image display on screen. So it's really easy to know which USB stick that track's coming from. So nice little feature there included in the Jogwheels. Moving on to the performance pads on the RX3. Now, we do have brand new pads here. These are pretty much the same as what was found in the XZ. They're fully illuminated now rather than having that little square cut out of them. And they also feel a bit more tactile. I think they're a bit higher. They just feel better than the RX2 pads. Now, for the first time, we have secondary pad layer modes, which is great to see, and it offers up a huge range of new possibilities on this player. So, moving on to the performance pad modes, of course, we have hot cues. These operate like all Pioneer hot cues have done before. So when you press the pad, the track will play from that point. However, because of that secondary pad layer mode, we can press the hot cue button again, and we're now in gate cue mode. Now, gate cues are great for anyone who's ever played on Serato DJ Pro. Basically, instead of just playing the song from the hot cue, it will only play the track whilst ever you have the pad held down. As soon as you let go, it'll jump back to the beginning. So this is great for DJs who like finger drumming because you can set up a few different hot cues on different sounds and then you can bounce between them. So gate cues are finally a thing in Pioneer DJ equipment, which is great to see. Of course, if you were using a controller with rekordbox in performance pad mode, you could change that in rekordbox, but you could never do it on a standalone piece of equipment. So I'm really pleased to see that in here. Moving on to beat loop. Now these are just auto loops, and on the first pad mode, we can go from a quarter beat all the way up to 32 beats. But if you press the pad mode again, we end up with triplets and odd signatures. So this is really cool that you can start doing auto loops with, say, a 3-beat loop or a triplet, whatever you want. And this can be really handy for transitioning between house music and drum and bass. Things like that, you can just press that and instantly have that division perfectly on beat with quantize turned on. Moving on, we've got slip loop. Now slip loop is just a roll, a traditional roll. And on the first pad mode, we have our traditional beat divisions, our regular 4x4 time signatures lit up in blue, but we also do have some triplets and odd time signatures lit up in white here as well. So again, Pioneer DJ have given us a lot of flexibility here when it comes to the time signatures that are available to the DJ. Pressing on slip loop again actually takes us into a completely separate section. We now have release effects. These are a brand new way of adding build up and energy into your DJ sets, and they're very, very clever. They work just by holding down the pad and it will apply an effect. These effects are completely in the channel itself. They're not post fader. So if I use the echo out, for example, it will echo out whilst looping one beat. However, if I try and pull the channel fader down, that echo will just be cut off straight away. So these are cool effects that manipulate the track whilst applying an effect. They're a bit like pad effects in rekordbox performance mode. So I'll just give you an idea of what we've got here. We've got a vinyl break on the top left-hand pad. Now underneath we have a vinyl break which is longer. And then we have backspin short. We have backspin long. We have echo out. This applies a 1-beat loop whilst echoing the track out. We have build up. As you can see there, that looped the track half the loop, but then it released the effect as well, even though I still held the pad. So you need to get your timing right with this one. We have mute. This simply mutes the deck whilst ever I hold the pad down. And then we have a ducking, which will duck the volume of the track automatically depending on the BPM of the track. And it will duck that volume all the way out until the track can no longer be heard. When you let go, it jumps back in. So they're the release effects. A really cool brand new feature within the RX3 and something that I hope is moved on to other units as well. Finally, we have beat jump. Again, we just have beat jump values from 1 beat forward or back all the way up to 8 beats forward or back. And then if you press the pad again, smaller divisions on the top pads and bigger divisions underneath, being able to jump all the way up to 16 beats. It's a shame there's no 32 beat jump on there, but again, it's not the end of the world. So moving on to the mixer section of the RX3, it's got a brand new layout. You can see here that it's actually painted slightly different as well. We've got a nice dark black now to contrast against the brushed aluminium feature here on each deck section. Makes it look again more like a pair of CDJs and a DJM-900. Talking of the DJM-900 Nexus 2 mixer, we have all the beat effects from there now inside the RX3. The old RX2 only had some of the key beat effects, but now we've got brand new effects in here. I think there's 8 new effects in here, And basically it brings it on par with the XDJ-RX3 as well. So we've got the helix, the vinyl break, the pitch, everything's in there now. We've also gained 2 brand new sound color effects, again from the XZ and the 900 Nexus 2. So we've got Space and also Crush now on the sound color effects, which can be applied to either deck using the color knobs here. We do have a Q button for our headphone section down here. This can be used with the Pro DJ Link network if you're using a computer connected over the Ethernet, but it also allows that touch preview on the screen itself. The auxiliary section has been tidied up a little bit and made a bit more beginner friendly. The old RX2 had off 0 dB and plus 12 dB options for the auxiliary input with a dedicated trim control. Now we have off, line and portable. So essentially this is making it a bit more beginner friendly. Line, of course, being a line level device, something like your CDJ if you have a spare CDJ player, and portable being connected to, say, a mobile phone, something like that, because it's going to apply a 12 dB boost to that signal to make sure the volume's coming through correctly. We do also have a signal light now, so we know when we're getting signal through. So if you've got a dodgy aux cable and you're not sure if it's the player or the device you're using, the signal light now can help you out in that regard. And we do have a dedicated trim as well. Around the back, just talking about that portable connection, there is now a 3.5mm auxiliary input as well, so we can just use a regular aux cable to connect things like mobile phones directly into the deck. Apart from that, it's much the same with this mixer. We've still got the very nice Pioneer DJ faders. It's not a Magvel fader or anything like that, but all these faders feel really nice. The knobs feel really solid and chunky, and it's exactly what you've come to expect of Pioneer DJ units up until now. The VU meters have been updated. These are now very, very clear indeed, nice and bright. The only downside I could slightly criticize this mixer with is when you're up top here selecting your source, if I select line or phono to connect to CDJ or turntable in, the on-screen connections here don't change. It doesn't tell me that this channel isn't going to come through the deck. It would have been nice if, like some of the Pioneer DJ controllers, that this could have said in use or through, or, you know, come up with some kind of warning on screen to let me know that, in fact, I need to go back over and turn the source back to the internal decks. Some other minor changes that have happened on the unit include the removal of the vinyl speed adjust. Now we just have a dedicated button on or off. To change the speed of the vinyl break, we now have to go into the shortcut section here. Now this does have loads of really cool, handy features in here, but this is where we change the vinyl speed adjust here. We can turn it on or off from the screen and change the speed it slows down. Now, this is done per deck, as you can see, so I can have a different speed on this deck to this deck. Talking of separating the decks, finally, we do have independent quantize on this all-in-one unit. So I can have quantize on the right-hand deck and have quantize turned off on the left-hand deck. So I can get creative smashing hotkeys over here by finger drumming without the quantize interrupting me, but still set a perfect loop here on the right-hand deck itself. That's a feature that I personally wanted in an all-in-one unit from Pioneer DJ for a very long time. So that's really cool to see. And there we have it. That's the Pioneer XDJ-RX3. Now, is this unit perfect? No, it isn't. It's not perfect. There's a few things in here that I think could have been improved. This brand new touchscreen, for example, it's brilliant and it's massive, and I'm a big fan of this touchscreen. It gets so bright. However, there is a bit of a wobble in the screen itself, which is a bit disconcerting. I would recommend using a flight case if you're transporting this deck around. Also, it hasn't really caught up in the ways that other people would have wanted it to. Compared to its rivals, this deck cannot analyze songs from a USB stick yet, so you cannot, just put the song in. You've got to make sure you've analyzed it in rekordbox on a separate computer first. There's no streaming capability in here yet, so you can't connect this to the internet and stream tracks directly into the unit, which a lot of its rivals, again, can do. And also, there's the small matter of the price. This is €2,000, and that is quite a lot of money when compared to other standalones on the market. But you've got to take the price into the consideration of the bigger Pioneer DJ range. When the CDJ-3000, which is running very similar technology to this, is €2,300, I think, thereabouts, each, then this all of a sudden becomes very accessible and very cheap to get that Pioneer DJ feel, the build quality, the feature set into an all-in-one package with 2 decks. All of a sudden it's not too bad. However, compared to its rivals, like I say, it is a lot of money, so only you will know if this unit is worth that kind of money for you. So there it is, that is the RX3 by Pioneer DJ. One hell of an impressive unit, but it does come with that impressive price tag to match. If you want to see a full hardware guide where I break down every single feature on this unit, please do head to the DJ Hub by Crossfader, or alternatively, click the link in the top right corner where that guide will be waiting for you. What do you think to this unit? Is it the update you've been waiting for? If it is, let us know in the comments below. If it's not, still, let us know. What do you think Pioneer DJ could have done better in the comments below? We want to see your views and your opinions on this. Thanks for taking the time to watch this review today. If you've not done so already, please do give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you've not done so. It helps us out massively. Thanks again, and we'll see you in another review sometime soon. Take care.